Since the passing of Queen Elizabeth, it seems the days of peace inside Buckingham Palace have come to an end. Ever since King Charles took the throne, the British royal family has faced one crisis after another, a string of misfortunes that feels as if destiny itself is testing the strength of the monarchy. The king was diagnosed with cancer. Princess Catherine has also been battling a serious illness, and Prince William now bears an ever-growing burden, not only as the heir to the throne, but as the last symbol of hope for the future of the crown. But the story doesn't end there. Just as the world continues to worry about the health of Charles and Kate, the royal family suddenly issued a major announcement, one that has set British and global media ablaze. This wasn't just another internal update. It was a turning point that could forever change how the public views the House of Windsor. Could this be a sign that change is coming? A reform? A transfer of power? Or perhaps the quiet rise of another looming crisis? Sources from within the palace revealed that this decision was made amid deep tension and division. One side fights to preserve tradition, while the other pushes for modernization, and standing between them are William and Kate, forced to choose between honor and duty, between the crown and humanity. Last night, as the official announcement was released, Britain seemed to hold its breath. A new era may be beginning, or this could be the moment that marks the fall of a centuries-old dynasty. What do you think? Is this the chance for the royal family to regain the trust of the people, or the turning point that could bring everything crashing down? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow the next dramatic chapter, shaking the heart of the United Kingdom. The timing of this announcement is critical. Released at 6:00 p.m. London time, just as the evening news cycle began. The statement, "The future starts now," lacked the usual royal fanfare, no ceremonial backdrop, no formal photography, no advanced briefings to royal correspondents. Just four words that have fundamentally altered the conversation about Britain's future. Sources within Kensington Palace reveal that this announcement was months in the making. William and Catherine haven't just made a statement. They've been quietly building the infrastructure to support it. What we're witnessing isn't an impulsive declaration, but the public unveiling of a carefully orchestrated plan to modernize royal service. The announcement signals something unprecedented. The next generation of royals isn't waiting to inherit leadership. They're claiming it now. The implications of this bold move are sending ripples through every level of the British establishment. Picture this. It's a Tuesday afternoon in March, and Catherine is supposed to be reviewing seating arrangements for a state dinner. Instead, she's sitting on the floor of a community center in Birmingham, helping a 6-year-old with his reading homework. No cameras, no press secretary, no royal protocol officer nearby. William finds her there, 2 hours later than scheduled. Instead of expressing concern about delayed dinner preparations, he asks the child, "What are you reading?" and sits down too. This scene, witnessed by a handful of volunteers and staff, would never make the official royal website. But a photo taken on someone's phone and shared quietly on social media sparked something unprecedented, not because of its grandeur, but because of its simplicity. Here were two people who could have been anywhere, choosing to be where they could make the most difference. And people noticed. They noticed because, in a world full of performance and posturing, authenticity stands out like a beacon. What happened next proved this wasn't a spontaneous moment of compassion, but the beginning of a carefully considered strategy to rebuild trust between the monarchy and the public. One genuine interaction at a time. 3 weeks after the Birmingham visit, Catherine made an announcement that sent shockwaves through both the palace and public consciousness. Standing not in a grand hall, but in a Manchester shelter where this journey began, she unveiled the Bridge Initiative. The name was significant, not a foundation, charity, or royal patronage, but a bridge. "We're not here to build something new on top of existing problems," Catherine explained to a small gathering of social workers, volunteers, and community leaders. "We're here to connect what already works and fill the gaps where people are falling through." While William stood beside her, not as the future king making a grand pronouncement, but as a partner in purpose. When asked about royal approval for the initiative, His response was telling. Sometimes leadership means leading, not waiting for permission to care. The room fell silent for a moment, then erupted in spontaneous applause, not prompted by protocol or politeness, but by genuine appreciation for what they were witnessing. Two people with unimaginable privilege choosing service over ceremony. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. While this announcement was made in Manchester, the silence from Buckingham Palace was deafening, and that silence became the loudest statement of all. For 48 hours after the bridge initiative was announced, official royal social media accounts posted about everything except what happened in Manchester. Garden parties, patronage appointments, ceremonial duties, business as usual. It was as if Catherine's announcement never occurred. Behind palace walls, the atmosphere was tense. King Charles wasn't angry. Sources described him as confused and concerned. This wasn't rebellion, but it wasn't the coordinated approach he'd expected from his heir and daughter-in-law. Camilla's reaction was more direct. This needs structure. She reportedly told advisors, it needs proper oversight. The suggestion was clear. Bring the bridge initiative under official royal management, folding it into the established system of patronages and charitable work. But William's response was equally clear. No. That single word represented a profound shift, not defiance of his father or stepmother, but a fundamental difference in understanding what the monarchy needed to survive and thrive in the modern world. The standoff was quiet, conducted through non-statements and careful non-acknowledgments. But the public was watching, drawing their own conclusions about who was leading and who was following. While the palace maintained its strategic silence, William and Catherine continued their work. The media attention following them shifted from royal duties to impact. A visit to a food bank in Cardiff wasn't just a photo opportunity. Catherine spent 3 hours sorting donations, learning about supply chains, and understanding hunger relief logistics. When she left, she didn't just offer a donation, she committed to connecting the food bank with suppliers through her network. William's approach to a youth climate summit in Glasgow was equally hands-on. Instead of delivering a prepared speech, he joined workshop sessions, took notes, and stayed for the full day of discussions. When a 16-year-old activist challenged him about royal environmental impact, he didn't deflect. He admitted shortcomings and asked for specific recommendations. These weren't isolated incidents, but part of a systematic approach prioritizing substance over symbolism, connection over ceremony. People responded in ways the monarchy hadn't seen in decades. The question everyone asked, if this was royal leadership, why wasn't it coming from the top? What Catherine and William hadn't anticipated was how quickly the bridge initiative would grow beyond their direct involvement. Communities across the UK reached out, not for royal patronage, but to join the network of connection and support they were building. A mental health clinic in Edinburgh found partnership opportunities with a support group in Cornwall. A youth program in London connected with efforts in Newcastle. The initiative wasn't creating new programs. It was weaving existing efforts into a stronger, more effective whole. It's like they've given us permission to work together instead of competing for attention and resources. One community organizer explained, finally, someone understands the solution isn't more charity events, it's better coordination. Catherine's site visits reflected this understanding. She arrived with notebooks, questions, and genuine interest in how things worked, not with entourages or media teams. Her presence wasn't about conferring royal approval, but making connections that outlasted any single visit. William's parallel efforts in environmental and homelessness issues followed the same model. Real engagement, practical solutions, sustainable impact. The work spoke for itself, and the silence from official channels only amplified its voice. By summer, younger royals were quietly inquiring about contributing to the bridge initiative, not for publicity, but because it felt meaningful. Palace staff gravitated toward Kensington's projects over Buckingham's. The energy was purposeful, collaborative rather than hierarchical. Even long-serving courtiers noticed the shift. For the first time in my career, one insider confided, people are excited about the work itself, not just the prestige of working for the royals. Media coverage reflected this change. Royal correspondents wrote about policy impact and community outcomes, not just ceremonial duties and fashion choices. The stories were more complex, substantive, and engaging for readers weary of disconnected royal coverage. International attention grew too. The Bridge Initiative's approach was studied by other monarchies, charitable organizations, and government agencies seeking models of effective leadership. The most significant change was in public perception. For the first time in years, polling showed increasing support for the monarchy among younger demographics, specifically due to William and Catherine's approach. The real test came during the October flooding crisis in South Wales. Traditionally, royals would visit weeks later, once recovery efforts were organized for protocol. Instead, William and Catherine arrived within hours of the flooding subsiding in hired vans loaded with supplies, not official cars. They spent 3 days working alongside of volunteers, helping with cleanup, coordinating relief, and listening to people's needs. No press notices, no photographers, just presence where it mattered. Candid photos by locals showed them with mud on their boots and genuine concern on their faces, resonating more than staged engagements. They didn't come to be seen helping. One flood victim noted, "They came to help and happened to be seen." This distinction, performing care versus providing it, defined their approach, creating a new template for 21st century royal service. As autumn progressed, the divide between official royal activity and William and Catherine's initiatives grew pronounced. State functions at Buckingham Palace remained formal, while the Bridge Initiative expanded its reach and impact. The contrast wasn't intentional, but undeniable. Traditional events felt disconnected, while their work felt immediate and relevant. People skipped coverage of state banquets, but shared stories of their community engagement. King Charles faced an impossible position. Acknowledging the Bridge Initiative might endorse his son's independent approach. Ignoring it made him seem out of touch. Camilla faced challenges too. Years of reputation management were overshadowed by Catherine's authentic approach. It wasn't competition, but comparison. And the comparison wasn't flattering to the traditional model. Within the palace, tension was palpable. Not anger, but uncertainty about direction and authority. Who was leading the monarchy's future? Those with titles or those commanding public respect? The Christmas period brought this into focus. The traditional royal Christmas broadcast was formal, emphasizing continuity. King Charles and Camilla attended the Christmas Day church service at Sandringham, watched respectfully but without enthusiasm. 3 days later, William and Catherine released a year-end message, not a formal broadcast, but a simple video filmed at a Bridge Initiative community center, surrounded by volunteers, beneficiaries, and community leaders who had become collaborators. Their message was personal, discussing what they'd learned, acknowledging mistakes, and expressing gratitude for being allowed into people's lives. They outlined concrete plans for the coming year, measurable goals, accountable promises. The contrast was stark. One message about the monarchy, another from it. The public response showed which connected more effectively. This wasn't about popularity but purpose. William and Catherine made royal service relevant again, not by changing what they said, but by transforming what they did. By the new year, the Bridge Initiative had evolved into a self-sustaining network of community connections, independent of traditional royal patronage systems. Catherine's role shifted from patron to facilitator, from figurehead to working partner. William's environmental and social justice work developed similar characteristics: real partnerships, measurable outcomes, transparent accountability. The media landscape shifted. 2. Royal correspondence covered policy developments and social impact, not just ceremonies. The Bridge Initiative's model was studied globally by royal families, government agencies, and charities. Public opinion crystallized around a new understanding of royal service, not ceremony for its own sake, but purpose through action, not distance maintained by protocol, but connection through engagement. The turning point came in March, a year after the Bridge Initiative began. Catherine visited the Manchester shelter where it started, meeting the same young mother whose needs sparked the journey. The private conversation had visible impact, a relationship that created real change in one person's life and, through her children's lives. Catherine wasn't surrounded by protocol officers, but by community leaders, social workers, and volunteers who had become colleagues, collaborators, and friends. The transformation was complete but ongoing. What began as an alternative approach had become the standard for meaningful public service. William's journey reached a similar point. His environmental work moved beyond symbolic gestures to systemic change, his social justice initiatives from charitable giving to structural reform. The future king wasn't just preparing to inherit a throne, he was redefining what it meant to sit on it. The palace faced a choice: continue parallel tracks, highlighting the contrast between old and new, or integrate these innovations without compromising authenticity. King Charles began incorporating substantive engagement into his schedule. Camilla emphasized her patronage's practical impact, and the royal household adapted to new expectations. The real change had already occurred. William and Catherine showed that modern monarchy could respect tradition while meeting contemporary needs. They proved institutional legitimacy comes from earned trust, built one genuine interaction at a time. Today, Monday, the Bridge Initiative operates as a permanent network connecting communities across the UK and beyond. Catherine has evolved from a princess learning about social issues to an expert practitioner sharing knowledge. She didn't wait to become queen to lead. She began and proved leadership is about service, not status. William's transformation is equally profound. The future king approaches his role as a responsibility to earn daily through meaningful contribution. His work on environmental and social justice issues has shifted from symbolic support to systematic change. Together, they've created excitement about what royal service can achieve when guided by purpose, proving tradition and innovation are partners in serving both continuity and change. Their revolution wasn't announced in proclamations, but demonstrated through countless quiet moments of authentic engagement, care, and problem solving. They changed the monarchy not by rejecting its history, but by showing how it could inform a meaningful future. They've altered public expectations about institutional leadership, not performance of power, but evidence of service. Their approach has inspired changes throughout the royal family and beyond, with other leaders studying and adapting their methods. What began as a commitment to community need has become a model for modern public service. Genuine leadership doesn't wait for formal authority. It begins with commitment, continues through consistent action, and succeeds by creating change that speaks for itself. The crown they'll eventually wear has been transformed by how they've served before receiving it. When their time comes, they'll inherit titles having already earned the trust, respect, and affection of those they serve. This is how institutions evolve, not through upheaval, but through dedicated individuals seeing possibilities for positive change and committing to making them real. William and Catherine didn't destroy the traditional monarchy. They transformed it into something more meaningful, relevant, and valuable. Their revolution continues daily, one authentic interaction at a time. The title of Princess of Wales carried painful memories tied to Diana's marriage. It would have been difficult for Camilla to take the title without criticism, further complicated by Charles's relationship with her during his marriage to Diana. Instead, Camilla adopted the lesser-known title of Duchess of Cornwall after marrying Charles, a thoughtful and less controversial move. Initially, it was planned she'd be princess consort when Charles became king, rather than queen consort. However, in early 2022, Queen Elizabeth II expressed her wish for Camilla to be queen consort when Charles took the throne, reshaping public and institutional views of her role. The royal family handled the title matter carefully due to public sentiment and Diana's powerful impact, which lingers today. Diana embraced her royal responsibilities after marrying Charles, becoming active in public life. Her early visit to Wales in October 1981 marked the start of many international engagements. In 1983, she and Charles, with baby William, visited Australia and New Zealand. Later, Prince Harry joined them in Italy in 1985. They represented the monarchy in countries like Brazil, India, Canada, Nigeria, Cameroon, Indonesia, and several European nations, attending events like Emperor Akihito's ceremony in Japan. Their final trip together was to South Korea in 1992, before their separation. These journeys helped Diana win global admiration, making her memory a key reason for careful handling of royal titles. Diana's global reach began in September 1982, attending Princess Grace of Monaco's state funeral as the Queen's representative, a significant moment in the public eye. Her first solo trip in February 1984 to Norway supported the London City Ballet, a patronage she cherished. She made impactful visits to the US, Germany, Pakistan, Egypt, Switzerland, France, Nepal, South Africa, Hungary, Belgium, and Zimbabwe. Her charity work and trend-setting style made her a humanitarian and fashion icon, shining a spotlight on British designers. Diana supported over 100 organizations focusing on homelessness, disability, child welfare, and HIV awareness, bringing these issues into public conversation. In December 1993, she scaled back public engagements to balance her public and private life. Even after separating from Charles, she remained active in major events, like the 1995 victory anniversaries. Post-divorce, she stepped down from most charity work and military roles, but stayed committed to organizations like Centrepoint, the English National Ballet, the Leprosy Mission, the National AIDS Trust, Great Ormond Street Hospital, and the Royal Marsden Hospital. Her final appearance in June 1997 showcased her iconic dresses at a charity event in London and New York. On her 36th birthday, July 1st, 1999, she celebrated at the Tate Gallery's centenary. Her last UK duty was on July 21st, visiting Northwick Park Hospital's Children's Emergency Department. In 1997, Diana focused on eliminating landmines, traveling to Angola in January to raise awareness. In June, she spoke at a landmine conference in London and visited Washington, D.C., to support the American Red Cross's anti-landmine initiative. She met Mother Teresa in New York and carried out her final duties in Bosnia, visiting landmine initiatives. Her walk through an Angolan minefield drew unmatched attention to the cause. Many wonder if Catherine will leave a similar lasting impact. Catherine and William met at the University of St. Andrews, living in the same residence hall. Their romance began in 2003, sharing a home with friends in their second year. They briefly separated in 2004, but reconciled. Their engagement was announced in December 2010, followed by their first joint public appearance at a Teenage Cancer Trust fundraiser. In February 2011, they attended a lifeboat naming ceremony in Anglesey, where they lived. In March, they visited Belfast, connecting with locals. After their 2011 wedding, Catherine welcomed President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama at Buckingham Palace, strengthening UK-US ties. That summer, they toured Canada and California, marking Catherine's first U.S. visit as a royal. In October 2011, she attended her first solo event, hosting at Clarence House in Charles's absence. In March 2012, Catherine gave her first public speech at a children's hospice, a cause she championed as patron of East Anglia's children's hospices. She and William were ambassadors for the 2012 London Olympics, and during Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee, they toured Commonwealth nations like Singapore, Malaysia, Tuvalu, and the Solomon Islands. Catherine's first overseas speech in Malaysia drew from her hospice work. In August 2013, after welcoming Prince George, they attended a marathon event in Anglesey. In 2014, they visited Australia and New Zealand with George, and in June, they honored the 70th anniversary of D-Day in France. Catherine's first solo royal visit was planned for Malta in September 2014, but postponed due to her second pregnancy, with William representing the family. In October 2015, Catherine attended her first state banquet, hosting Chinese President Xi Jinping. In 2016, they visited India and Bhutan, and in 2018, Sweden and Norway, learning about pediatric palliative care. In 2019, they visited Northern Ireland and Pakistan, the first royal trip there in 13 years. In June 2019, Catherine made history as the first royal to take the salute as Colonel of the Irish Guards during the changing of the guard. Catherine hesitated to accept the Princess of Wales title due to its association with Diana, whom she admired. According to Robert Jobson's biography, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, she considered following Camilla's example by using a different title to avoid comparisons. Despite internal discussions, she accepted the title on September 9, 2022, when Charles became king and William was named Prince of Wales. The emotional weight had eased, and she was praised for stepping into the role gracefully. Diana's 1997 death in a Paris car crash at age 36 shocked the world. Controversial claims of foul play involving the British government sparked investigations and global conversations. William spoke about the profound impact of her loss, hoping to comfort others. Diana's emotional legacy made Catherine cautious, but William emphasized in a 2010 ITV interview that Catherine wasn't expected to replace Diana. She was to build her own path. Catherine's modern approach embraces social media, mental health advocacy, and early childhood development. Her 2020 Five Big Questions survey on early childhood positioned her as a policy advocate. Through the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood, she addresses societal issues, shaping a new royal image rooted in empathy and relevance. Her journey balances royal responsibilities with Diana's legacy, forging a path of grace, growth, and meaningful contribution. The choices around titles and roles reflect Diana's enduring impact and public sentiment. As Catherine steps forward as Princess of Wales, a new chapter unfolds, written with purpose, respect, and quiet strength.